Let us not despair but act. Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past, let us accept our own responsibility for the future. But I think the American people expect more from us than cries of indignation and attack. The times are too grave, the challenge too urgent, and the stakes too high to permit the customary passions of political debate. We are not here to curse the darkness, but to light the candle that can guide us through that darkness to a safe and sane future. And we must face the fact that the United States is neither omnipotent or omniscient, that we are only 6% of the world's population, that we cannot impose our will upon the other 94% of mankind, that we cannot right every wrong or reverse each adversity, and that therefore there cannot be an American solution to every world problem. For I can assure you that we love our country, not for what it was, though it has always been great, not for what it is, though of this we are deeply proud, but for what it someday can, and, through the efforts of us all, someday will be. But however close we sometimes seem to that dark and final abyss, let no man of peace and freedom despair. For he does not stand alone. Never before has man had such capacity to control his own environment, to end thirst and hunger, to conquer poverty and disease, to banish illiteracy and massive human misery. We have the power to make this the best generation of mankind in the history of the world, or make it the last. We must use time as a tool, not as a couch. We must think and act not only for the moment but for our time. Dante once said that the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who in periods of moral crisis maintain their neutrality. It is an interesting biological fact that all of us have, in our veins, the exact same percentage of salt in our blood that exists in the ocean, and, therefore, we have salt in our blood, in our sweat, in our tears. We are tied to the ocean. And when we go back to the sea, whether it is to sail or to watch it, we are going back from whence we came. We set sail on this new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained, and new rights to be won, and they must be won and used for the progress of all people. For space science, like nuclear science and technology, has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force for good or ill depends on man, and only if the United States occupies a position of preeminence can we help decide whether this new ocean will be a sea of peace or a new terrifying theater of war. When at some future date the High Court of History sits in judgment on each of us, our success or failure will be measured by the answers to 4 questions. First, were we truly men of courage? Secondly, were we truly men of judgment? Third, were we truly men of integrity? Finally, were we truly men of dedication? No country can possibly move ahead, no free society can possibly be sustained, unless it has an educated citizenry whose qualities of mind and heart permit it to take part in the complicated and increasingly sophisticated decisions that pour not only upon the President and upon the Congress, but upon all the citizens who exercise the ultimate power. This is a great country and requires a good deal of all of us, so I can imagine nothing more important than for all of you to continue to work in public affairs and be interested in them, not only to bring up a family, but also give part of your time to your community, your state, and your country. This nation has tossed its cap over the wall of space, and we have no choice but to follow it. What we seek to advance, what we seek to develop in all of our colleges and universities, are educated men and women who can bear the burdens of responsible citizenship, who can make judgments about life as it is, and as it must be, and encourage the people to make those decisions which can bring not only prosperity and security, but happiness to the people of the United States and those who depend upon it. I ask particularly that those of you who are now in school will prepare yourselves to bear the burden of leadership over the next 40 years here in the United States, and make sure that the United States, which I believe almost alone has maintained watch and ward for freedom, that the United States meet its responsibility. That is a wonderful challenge for us as a people. Forgive your enemies, but never forget their names. The rights of every man are diminished when the rights of one man are threatened. We must find time to stop and thank the people who make a difference in our lives. Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. Conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. The great enemy of truth is very often not the lie, deliberate, contrived and dishonest, but the myth, persistent, persuasive and unrealistic. Too often we hold fast to the clichés of our forebears. We subject all facts to a prefabricated set of interpretations. We enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. Victory has 100 fathers and defeat is an orphan. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. If a free society cannot help the many who are poor, it cannot save the few who are rich. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. Public libraries should be open to all, except the censor. One person can make a difference, and everyone should try. We must know all the facts and hear all the alternatives and listen to all the criticisms. Let us welcome controversial books and controversial authors. For the Bill of Rights is the guardian of our security as well as our liberty. Do not pray for easy lives. Pray to be stronger men. Liberty without learning is always in peril, and learning without liberty is always in vain. Mankind must put an end to war, or war will put an end to mankind. I believe in an America that is officially neither Catholic, Protestant nor Jewish, where no public official either requests or accepts instructions on public policy from the Pope, the National Council of Churches or any other ecclesiastical source, where no religious body seeks to impose its will directly or indirectly upon the general populace or the public acts of its officials, and where religious liberty is so indivisible that an act against one church is treated as an act against all. We cannot negotiate with people who say what's mine is mine and what's yours is negotiable. Peace is a daily, a weekly, a monthly process, gradually changing opinions, slowly eroding old barriers, quietly building new structures. And however undramatic the pursuit of peace, that pursuit must go on. If not us, who? If not now, when? A man does what he must, in spite of personal consequences, in spite of obstacles and dangers, and pressures, and that is the basis of all human morality. I'm an idealist without illusions. Those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly. Art is the great democrat, calling forth creative genius from every sector of society, disregarding race or religion or wealth or color.